Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Brothers Take podcast. I'm Kris. I'm joined once again by my brother, Adam.
Hello.
We don't have Eric this week. He's away on a well-deserved holiday, but we are going to be talking about Starfield, which has officially launched. Some people have had it longer than others because if you pre-ordered it, there was early access and things like that. But you need a bit of time to get into it a bit, I think, to give any kind of first impression. So that's going to be our main topic this week. We're going to be talking about Starfield, and we might just touch on as well two other games that were launched, but we'll see how we're doing for time towards the end. FFVII Ever Crisis is now on mobile, and Sea of Stars is a game that was out as well that at one point a couple of weeks ago we were saying to kind of keep an eye out for. So we might touch on those as well, but we're mainly focusing on the big boy, Starfield, which is available on Game Pass as well. It's kind of nuts that you could just go and play that day one on Game Pass because it's fucking huge, and it's like the big Xbox game of the year kind of thing. But we'd love to hear from you guys if you're playing Starfield 2. I think we should preface this with it's not a spoiler talk, but when
are you far enough to spoil?
Not really, but with Bethesda games, it's kind of hard to. I don't see us ever doing a spoiler-filled discussion on Starfield.
No.
Because that's just not how you discuss Bethesda games. It's more like, oh, did you do this thing? Did you find this thing? Oh,
yeah,
and I
feel
decided
like
to do this, and
when actually, oddly enough, spoiling things in a Bethesda game is actually it's odd. It's the way they designed their games. It's like you nearly want that discussion. Because when someone spoils something on you, you're like, oh my god, I never even noticed that. How did you make that happen?
Yeah, so now I want to try that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're prefacing the discussion with as we talk about our early impressions of the game, it's possible that we will spoil an experience on you if you didn't do what we did, but it's not a spoiler discussion. We're certainly not touching on the main story. We're not far enough to do that at all. But we would love to hear about your experiences too of Starfield. So if you guys watch this YouTube, jump down in the comments, share your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this discussion, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring that notification bell for all future content. And to those of you who are listeners on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twixter at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on Starfield. But without further ado, let's jump into space. So how much have you played?
I'm 10 hours in, I think.
Wow.
Last I checked the clock, anyway. Just over 10 hours.
I don't think I'm that far. I think I'm around the 6 to 7 hour mark, possibly. How long did you spend on the character creator though? Is that 10 hours of gameplay, do you think? Or is that
I did spend quite a bit.
Spend a lot of time on that, right?
Yeah, and actually that was a really enjoyable. I actually really like that in a Bethesda game. Not so much in other games. There's something about Bethesda games. I think they give you the right level of here's some pre-made stuff, but if you want to go further with it, you can. Mm-hmm. I think they always manage to balance the character creation really, really well, and you can go quite not overly in depth, but in depth enough to make it your own.
Yeah. So, for sure.
I initially was kind of in my head when I was creating this, because I'm on this Warhammer kind of craze. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a space marine, right? That's the way I was looking at it. So I was designing my guy to be someone maybe an Imperial Guard or something like that. Something that worked for the Imperium is no longer with the Imperium. Is kind of how I was going for it. So I was choosing soldier's occupation.
Yeah.
But then when it got to I think it was traits, then my idea completely shifted as I was creating the character.
Okay.
So although my design of the character was coming from that trying to make a perfect specimen style soldier.
Yeah.
The minute I saw I think there was a trait that you can choose. Not a trait, but a kind of a perk, I guess, because you can choose things the fan, the crazy fan.
Did you pick that?
I did pick that, yeah. I wanted to see what it was like.
So did I. I so wanted to just hear what the fuck that guy was going to be saying and doing. So,
are they perks or traits? What were they?
They call it traits.
Traits, yeah. So when I saw the
tree.
one where it was your parents and that you could go visit them, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I chose that one. I was like, that's when I shifted, and I was like, okay, no, I'm actually Rico from Starship Troopers. If the meteor
great.
didn't hit, and I
Great,
was
yeah.
actually in that training situation, I was actually expelled from the military and sent back home.
And did you name the guy Rico?
No, I didn't. I already
Yeah,
had
no.
yeah, I didn't. But
What did you name your guy?
shit, what was the name? Luther is what I called him.
Cool.
Yeah.
See, like everyone's
Because I had like that was initially like I had the name, from a Warhammer's perspective. Like I had a kind of
Brother Luther.
kind of a Warhammer-y name. But once it came to the traits, I was like, oh no, okay, I'm kind of ex-soldier. Maybe something went wrong in training.
Yeah, yeah. That's what's got to be the interesting part of like the Starfield discussion is like people sharing their own stories as opposed to people talking about the story.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people sharing their own stories of like, oh, this is the guy I made, and this is what I did, and these are the things I picked, and that's where like it gets fun. And do let us know, guys, your own characters. Like, what did you name them? What did you go for? What was your vibe? My guy is Sid Highwind, and he's fulfilling his dream of traveling the stars.
Brilliant.
That's what I went for, and I think when I got to the traits, then there was like a class you could pick. I was going to enter the classes. I don't really know which one fits what I'm going for here, and then I was like, Space Scoundrel. Yeah, I'll go for that. Like Sid is a bit of a Han Solo type, so yeah, I'll go for the Scoundrel. But I picked the adoring fan as well, because I just wanted to see what he was going to be like, what he was going to say, and he is gas. I think it's fucking hilarious. Like I was on my ship with him and having a word with him, and like obviously there's lots of things you could say to him, and I was like, all right, I'm not gonna tell him to leave yet because I want to keep him around a bit longer and see where else this goes. But he said something at one point that was like, I can't remember exactly what he said. I remember laughing out loud at it, but it was like to the effect of something like, do you think that you are so fast that you could break the space-time continuum and outrun yourself or something? And he mentioned like chasing yourself, and wouldn't that be amazing?
You'd be so jealous of that, yeah.
It's so weird. And it's I remember I had a word with him about, it's like, look, dude, like, is this like a romantic thing or what? And he made it clear, say, no, there's nothing romantic about this. I just want to be with you all the time. So that's really, yeah, it's fucking funny. I wonder then, if you don't pick that, can you still get him? Though
Probably
like,
not.
Do picking those traits at the beginning, is that just that you have them earlier than anyone else would get them? But if you play through the game, you can, if you do the right things, get those things. Like, because I picked one to own a house that I'll have to pay a mortgage on. I was like, sounds about right.
Yeah.
And
let's roleplay to see what that looks like for,
Yeah. I have yet to go visit my house. I haven't done that yet, actually, because I kind of got swept into a bit of a quest. So I've yet to go see what my house looks like or how I go about paying off my mortgage. But I was like, surely other people can still do that. It's just that they don't start with it. They probably have to do something to, like, they have to go buy the house in the first place, or apply for the mortgage, or I don't know. So I assume you can get that fan otherwise, but maybe it's just like you have to do a shitload of things to earn that fan.
Maybe.
As opposed to starting off with them.
Yeah, I don't know. But like, I chose parents. I don't think you can end up earning parents, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Can you just get parents?
Maybe you can.
Maybe.
It's like when you come, like, maybe there's a question. It's like, will you adopt me?
Yeah. Well, what are your like overall like early impressions of the game before we get into any more kind of specifics?
Early impressions. I didn't really like the start of the game. I thought it started a bit weird. Like, I always find that with Bethesda games, or the few that I've played at least, there's an element of intrigue. Like, I want to know more. Like, I'm starting off with, I have no information even about myself. It's almost like you get to build yourself up. And the
Yep.
game doesn't start like that initially. Like it's not, far into it that happens, where you get to now create yourself and say who you are and all that kind of stuff. But it almost starts before that moment. And now, for some reason, when that happens, it's like I had a past, and I'm like now trying to think about what my past was as opposed to what's my future. There's
yeah.
like I just think the way it starts is I'm not overly intrigued to find out what's happening, what's going to happen. Whereas I think the way Fallout 3 starts, I mean, that's really intriguing. It's like you've grown up in this vault. You don't know what the outside world is, and you're told not to leave. Your dad goes, and you're like, I want to obviously find
Go
him.
explore.
But in doing that, it's going to end up, I'm going to be experiencing so many different things that I've never experienced before. And then all the Elder Scrolls games, you start in a prison, and again, it's like opening up into the wild world. It just kind of, I think it lacks that, and I find that I haven't gotten enough information about this like artifact thing that you encounter to, like, that to me was just like, well, that was weird, as opposed to, what the hell was that? I want to know what it is. Everyone else around me is like, we need to discover that, but I'm like, do we?
Yeah, Dolby Atmos.
It's like the beginning of a movie, isn't it? It's like, here's your sound check.
Kind of, yeah. I thought the onboarding for this game is terrible. Like, I didn't enjoy it at all. And I remember flying around for about 15 minutes in the dogfight tutorial trying to blow up that other ship, going, I just want to get past this to see what else there is to do in this game. And I'm really close to turning this off. Like, I fucking hate this.
Yeah.
Like, visibly getting mad. Ash was on the couch beside me going, oh, is this the new game? I was like, yep, this is that new fucking game. That's like getting really mad. And then as soon as the tutorial was over and the other ships came along that had health bars, I killed them in no time. So I was like, what the fuck was the difference with the tutorial ship? Why was it so... I don't know why it took me so long to take it down, but I was literally flying in circles for 15 minutes shooting at it, going, I don't know when this is going to end, but I don't enjoy any of this. And when I got beyond that and could start getting on the ground and exploring and talking to people and deciding where I wanted to fly to, I was like, okay, now I'm enjoying myself. But I thought the entire tutorial of the game, I suppose, is awful. And like, it doesn't even do a good job at telling you like the controls and where to find things and things like that. I even had a hard time reloading my fucking gun in the first fight. Like,
I was the same, actually. I was like, where's the reload button? I only know what the reload button is based on just playing other games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it doesn't specifically say, you're out of ammo, you got to reload.
This is not like beginner gamer friendly. Like, if this is your first game you've ever played, this game is not friendly.
Possibly.
You need to have played games before
for
you
that
jump
moment,
into
at
Starfield.
least, for sure. The shooting mechanics, I think so.
Yeah,
I think because the discussion online is very divisive of this game. I think it's getting pretty good ratings. I don't think I haven't seen a bad rating. I've seen kind of mid-tier ratings and up. But from regular players, I've seen some people really hate it. Some people think it's the best game ever made. And I think it all comes down to that beginning section. It's like if you get past that moment, you may find some enjoyment out of it. But I do think that it's definitely the poorest opening I've ever played to a Bethesda game.
Oh, easily.
Yeah,
I think so. Easily. But yeah, that's not to take away from... I suppose it can, even though like the game then opens up and, then you can start having some fucking fun. That can leave a lot of people probably like a bad taste in their mouth. Like,
especially if you pay for it.
Yeah, and it's like, this game has not got its hooks in me. Like, I don't know what the hook is. Like, I haven't got anything to like push me on. Like, I agree. I don't give a shit about the artifact thing.
No.
I went to like what is it, the lodge. They said what my next mission was. I haven't touched that main quest at all since.
Yeah, I haven't really either.
I ended up stumbling into a different quest line, and I have been following that and really enjoying that. I was like, I'm into this. This is great. Because I was just like, I was like fucking around, just like walking around, talking to people and stuff. And then I was like, I wonder like how quickly or like how much stuff do I have to take before security gets on me? Like,
Yeah.
how quickly does that happen? Because, in Skyrim, you can kind of, sneak around and get away with taking quite a lot before someone really notices. So I started off, I picked up a cup. And immediately, security were on me. And I was like, it's just a fucking cup! But that launched me into a quest.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't think it mattered that it was a cup. I don't think it mattered what the crime was going to be. But it was... and the quest is brilliant. And it's to do with the Crimson Fleet. So anyone who is playing that, it's very good. It's really, really good. And I'm enjoying playing my role in it. And I think like my favorite part of the game so far, from what I've played, is like the persuasion minigame.
Yeah, I like that, but I don't
really enjoy
fully
that.
understand it.
I get you, yeah.
And I
think
think there's a few things in the game that's like that. Like I like the lock picking mechanic, but I still don't fully understand it. I'm completing it, but I don't understand how I'm completing it fully.
Right, yeah. I haven't got to do the lock picking yet.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I actually haven't.
It's probably one of the coolest lock picking mechanics, I think, in a game.
Cool, okay.
Just
I need to find
because of
something to...
the way the puzzle works. But
Okay.
there's an element that I'm like, I kind of get it, but I'm not fully understanding it.
Yeah.
Because there's an element of like, there's like these circles and you pretty much have to rotate and you got to get the shapes to fit. But
Okay.
if you use it prematurely, later on down the line, you might need that shape for later on. So that's the part I'm not fully understanding yet. Is like, how do I know whether to gamble this kind of shape now or later?
Okay, yeah.
But
yeah.
I've been, as long as this is like a novice level one, I've been getting it pretty good.
I think that's what it is. Everything I've come across that's been locked has been, it's like you're not high enough level to unlock this. So that I haven't had a chance to.
There's actually and I actually just did it before coming on here.
Yeah.
Because I saw on Twitter someone was like, oh, there's this really good spacesuit that you can get early on in the game, and I highly recommend people do this.
I heard about this
before it gets patched. But in the lodge, down in the basement, there's a case with a suit in it, and it's master locked. But if you just aim your little dot at the gap where the hinges are on that case, your dot actually can land on the mannequin, and you can access the mannequin and take the spacesuit without having to unlock it.
So did you do it?
Yeah, I did.
Excellent. Does it look cool?
No, it doesn't. It just looks like there's a spacesuit you get with when you join the, what are they called? In the lodge. I can't remember the name of them. But when you join Constellation, you get a suit from them. It kind of just looks like that.
They didn't give me anything.
Maybe you have to do, there's probably a quest you have to do. It's like
Alright.
probably their first quest.
Because I am finding that. I'm playing through it and I'm going, like, normally by now I have a rake of outfits. And I have to start throwing some away or selling some.
Yeah, I've been over encumbered like a fuck ton of times.
I've got nothing.
I actually like the over encumbered mechanic in this one.
Interesting. That's like what I've seen online is that's the thing that people are most pissed off about.
Well, over encumbered is always annoying, but I think the way they've done it in this one is better. It's not like I love it. If they did away with it, I'd be like, great, because I just want all the things and sell them.
Yeah, yeah. Why did they do it at all? What's the point? Like, why not?
Well,
just like
there's always been, I suppose, a weight mechanic in RPGs, right? I don't think there's ever been an RPG where it's like you have infinite pocket space.
Well, okay, not to change subject too much, but like if you play, like a Final Fantasy game, like you can only equip one weapon at a time and one piece of armor at a time. But that doesn't. You can keep as much as you like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? Like, you still only get the benefits of one at a time. So why have an over encumbrance at all?
Well, I think it probably is that whole thing about like you need to make a decision here, right? Do you want to keep this thing to sell it,
Right.
or drop it and pick up this other thing? Right, there's your decision. And it does add that little dynamic of like, oh god, do I like, this is worth a lot of money, but this one's higher stats. Like, what do I want to do here? Maybe I can drop something else, or I think that's probably the reasoning behind it, is just adding that little extra mini game to it.
The choice element.
But the over encumbrance, they don't like in the other games. They would make you pretty much walk at a snail's pace if you're over encumbered. Whereas in this one, you can still run around. You can do whatever you want, but your CO2 drops.
Fast travel, can you? Either.
Well, that I don't know. But your CO2 is constantly dropping as you run.
Oh, okay.
So, actually, to make sure that doesn't happen, then you walk. But you have that choice of like, do I want to walk at a snail's pace, or do I want to just,
drop some stuff and get rid of the risk?
Or just you do a little dash, catch my breath, and dash again, catch my breath.
Yeah. I had heard that it takes the fast travel out of it, which basically stops you from flying.
Oh, right, okay. I haven't.
And I think that's the thing that annoys people. They're like, what the fuck? Because they're like, I'm trying to get to a shop then to sell the stuff I have.
Yeah.
And I can't because I'm on this random barren planet.
I think that's always
but I don't
an
know
issue
how
with
much
those
truth
games.
there's that.
Like if you do have a huge horde, like even in Skyrim when you're like, oh, I just killed a dragon, but I can't pick up his resources to sell. I can pick up one bone. But there's all this like scales and shit. I'm like, I need that. I want to try and make this dragon armor, but this mechanic is preventing me from doing this. Like, it's always been annoying. I don't know if you can actually increase pocket space either.
Yeah.
Which should be a skill.
I feel like, that would be a nice thing that, like, if there's a skill tree in that, and then maybe there is. I haven't gotten deep enough into the skill tree to see, like, if down below you can. But I feel like you should be able to invest time into upgrading how much you can carry. And I mean, you earn that through playing the game, so it's not like you're not like cheating your way out of it or anything. You've decided that's where you're putting your skills.
Yeah,
have you been like focusing on any particular skill tree or?
Persuasion is one that I've been doing a bit, and I think ballistics. Can't remember. It's been more the persuasion thing because again, I've been kind of enjoying that too. There's been a couple of dialogue sequences where I've pretty much avoid paying for something just by persuading them.
Yeah.
But again, I still don't quite understand, like the +1 and the +4 and all that kind of stuff.
Isn't it? It's so there's the little bars at the bottom, and you have 3 turns to fill those bars, and that's how you know you've fully persuaded them.
Yeah.
So your responses then are worth that many bars.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously +4, if they're going to buy it, is you've like really increased your chances and you've got them.
Yeah.
But then you have to pay attention to the context of the conversation and what they're saying kind of beforehand to really like, are they gonna go for that, or have I just fucked this whole conversation by doing that?
Yeah, I know, but it's just I find it's the color bars, right? The green, the yellow, the orange, and the red. There are some situations where I was like that green just doesn't. Based on what they just said, that green response is not right. Like I would not buy that at all. But that red response, I fucking absolutely would. But because I wasn't really fully aware of it, I just chose the green one because it seems like because green to me sounds that's like easiest, and I'm only like a bar away anyway.
Yeah,
and it succeeded, and I'm like, and there's been some cases where I'm like, oh, that orange response, that sounds like that's the one, and then it fails. So I don't.
Right.
It's the colored bar thing where I'm like, I don't really know. Like, know what
I thought
this
the
means.
colored bars were just to say like green equals +1, orange.
Oh, I
equals
thought it
+4,
was a
whatever.
difficulty thing.
I don't think so. I think that they are always, now maybe I could be wrong, and we should go like next time we're doing it. Maybe we'll pay attention to is the +1 always green or whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought they were just a signifier of the ranking of the level of the response, not the green is good, red is bad. I didn't think it meant that.
I think that's ultimately my issue with things like, whoa, goodbye light. I'm in darkness.
You look like a ghost.
So the like that mechanic, the persuasion mechanic, it's like I like it, but there's an element of it that I don't fully understand. The unlocking stuff, I like it, but I don't fully understand it. And there's other things in the game as well where it's like I like it, but I don't fully understand it. I think there is an element of just UI design that this game definitely needs an improvement on.
Yeah.
And that goes for like especially throughout the menu system. Like I think the menus in this are dog shit, and a lot of it has to be done through it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I find myself often struggling looking for the thing I'm looking for, and then I don't like the. I still haven't figured out. Obviously, you can slot weapons to your
Yes, you can. Yeah,
directional pad, right?
Yep.
I don't know how to do it.
You have to favorite them.
Right.
So when you select a weapon,
Okay.
I think favorite is yellow or yellow,
Like
white.
Y. Yeah.
White, and then you then press on the D-pad where you want it to be. So yeah, I favorited a good few things because it's just been so annoying that every time.
I hate pausing the battle to change weapon because I keep running out of ammo, and you don't get enough ammo in this game.
I think Starfield could really benefit from something similar to the VAT system in Fallout 4. Or Fallout 3 rather, because 4 not so much, but in 4. So that's a kind of a moment where it does pause the battle for you to make a precise shot, like a precision shot.
Oh yeah,
and it is a much more of an RPG element, because I think Bethesda, like thinking back to like Skyrim and Oblivion, when you're actually doing combat in that, like, you know, archery, missile weapons is like, well, if you've got the ammo for it, then use a missile weapon, but you're not using it frequently. You're just, you know, there might be an odd case where you might use it. Most of the time it's melee attacks. In this, I've run out of ammo so many times in this, and I'm like, what do I do now?
I am stuck already.
Okay.
I'm in a mission. I don't think there's any getting out of the mission, so I might have to like load up well before I started the mission or something.
Yeah.
I have no ammo. There's nowhere to get ammo. Enemies don't drop ammo.
Do they not?
Not where I am. These enemies don't, because they don't have bullets. They're fucking aliens.
Oh, I see. Okay. See you later.
So
night.
I'm bye light. So I literally like I turned it off. I was fucking pissed off, like, because I was like, what are you supposed to do in this situation? And there's no guns to pick up in the place either. Where I am, I'm running around with an axe, trying to kill hundreds of enemies surrounding me, killing me instantly. Yeah. And I'm like, this is, to me, is a design flaw. I don't care that they're aliens. They should drop ammo. Because this is, in combat, it's a first-person shooter. And you fly through bullets.
Yeah, you do. And you're not clear. Well, at least I'm not clear when I'm going through the menu system. Maybe it is there, but again, I just think the UI needs an overhaul. I'm not clear about which weapons in my inventory have ammo until I equip them.
Correct. Me too. And I'm looking at it. There's actually a little number that I thought meant that's how much ammo it has. And then I equip it to go shoot, and it's 0. And I'm like, what? I don't know which guns take which bullets. I went to a shop to buy bullets, and I'm not even clear on that. And so I just went, but should I buy all of them so that I know that at least the weapons I have will have some ammo?
Yeah, it's almost like you need to know the caliber of the bullet for you. But it's too much.
Look,
it's too much homework. I think it is a bit too much homework for the player. I think that there has been. I think the actual shooting mechanics in the game are fine, right? But
it shoots well.
There's kind of everything else around it. As an RPG, it lacks RPG combat, and
Right.
it's I don't think it should be a shooter necessarily. It something like the VATS, where it's like it expends a certain amount of action points for you to do like a precision shot or like a critical hit or something like that. Something that comes from the tabletop gaming scene, right? Like you should be able to score a critical hit basically somehow. Maybe that is something that comes down the line, but it's definitely losing that aspect of an RPG, is the RPG combat side of it.
Yeah.
But it's really great, I think, in dialogue. Not that the dialogue's good or anything like that, but the amount of choice you have in dialogue, the amount of people you get to speak to, the other kind of mechanics like the persuasion and stuff like that. Like they've really expanded their arsenal there, but they kind of just went just copy and paste shooting mechanics, slap it there, and they haven't really thought about it and how it like fits into this RPG game.
Right. And I even like I don't care for combat anyway in this game. Like I'm more interested in the obviously you're always going to have it, but I'm more interested in the exploring aspect and the conversations and the dialogues trees, like we were saying, the persuasion. That's the stuff I'm actually into, and I actually like there's situations, the quest I was doing, like there was a moment where I had to like gain a character's trust, right? And the only way they would let me kind of in was they wanted me to go kill some dude who was on a ship that's flying medical supplies, right? So there's a number of ways, like this person didn't care how he died, just that he dies, right? So there was a number of ways you could go and deal with that. Like you could just blow the fucking ship up.
Mm-hmm.
But now you've killed lots of people and all the medical supplies, right? And I was like, well, I don't want to do that. That sounds drastic. You could maybe go on board and kill everyone and then keep the medical supplies, I guess. But I also didn't want to do that. So I ended up like going on and trying to like persuade the crew to kill that one guy in a, look, if you kill him, I'll let you go. To get other people to do the job for me. And when I left that, I was like, that was really satisfying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that kind of thing where it's like, but someone else could do that totally different. Like someone could just go, fuck it, blow the whole ship out of the sky, and then come back and go, yeah, job's done. What do you want me to do next? You know?
Yeah.
There's like a couple of ways you can do that.
Those moments, those moments are really, really fun. Because it even kind of, I think when you first encounter something like that, it does hint at, I think I noticed something come up on the screen saying you could do this or this.
Right.
And I think that was a good way of kind of introducing to players like the level of choice you have. You know, you could use speech, you could use stealth, infiltration, you could just go in guns blazing, depending what your character's good at. Yeah, that level, that kind of choice, I think needs to also be in combat. There needs to be a level of choice in combat.
Yeah, for sure. I'd agree with that. I'm finding, which I think is kind of interesting on a grander philosophical level, right? I'm finding exploring space daunting. I'm finding it overwhelming. I much prefer when my feet are on the ground. Like, I much prefer being on a planet with people. And actually, it's like the dream of the what if you could explore the stars. I'm actually finding it like, you know what? I'd prefer to be at home. I don't like this. This isn't a dream.
Like an anchor.
Actually.
You want an anchor.
I'm like, I feel like, but like it's the point of the game. It's that you're exploring the stars, you're exploring space. But I'm finding it so vast and so kind of daunting that I'm like, I don't have a white run. I don't have a place where I feel like, oh, I like to come back here.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so far. Now maybe I will, as I explore more, maybe I'll find that. Maybe I need to visit my fucking house. Maybe that's what it is. But yeah, I'm just finding the whole experience really.
Like, how are you finding the space travel aspect of the game?
Um, I don't really like it.
Yeah,
Personally,
again,
but
I kind of understand. There's been, I think Alana did a stream where she tried to fly to a planet, and it was like 7 hours long, and I think there's been a couple of articles written about that. And
Right.
I understand that, like, that's like, you don't want that, right? You don't want to
No,
spend hours
no.
flying to a planet. So the whole, which I found kind of confusing. I don't like the map system in the game, especially when you're on a planet. And you're like,
Right.
I would prefer something a little bit more geographic than this kind of almost satellite view. And when you're traveling to another system, I find that kind of confusing because there was a couple of times I ended up in the wrong fucking planet.
Yeah.
But you select your planet and then you hold X to fast travel to it. That totally makes sense to me. But then you appear in front of the planet.
I thought I would just land there.
I want to fly to it then. If it's in front of me, I want to fly down, and then maybe it activates a cutscene, and then you have your landing thing. I don't understand why I have to go to a menu, fast travel to a system. There's the planet in front of me. Open my menu again, select the landing zone, and now fast travel to the landing zone. It's like cut out some steps here, or let me fly to the second planet here.
I think this is a case where, like, I can't help but think of Mass Effect, right? And obviously there is some parallels,
little like that, yeah.
Right? I think Mass Effect's get around to planets system is way better. Like,
it's probably because you don't have that. Like, there's a really weird midsection between just getting to a planet where it makes the assumption that maybe you want to do some combat outside of that planet, like, because you can fly around and you can shoot some ships, or
just
there might
within
be
the orbit.
Some debris.
Yeah,
it's like great, but also include then as part of that to be able to fly just directly to the planet. Then,
like, it'd be cool to watch the coming into the atmosphere.
Yeah, that'd be
see that change.
I'd love to see that.
I would love to see that.
I think going from system to system, fast travel the shit out of that. Like, it makes no sense to want to fly that.
100%. Now, who wants to fly that? No one wants to fly that.
I don't know if you've been to the moon or Earth yet.
Not yet, no.
So I've been around. I've been on a space station just outside of the moon. That was actually a cool moment. I really liked that. But I want to fly to. Let me fly to Earth. Like, let me do that. You have to go into your menu, select Earth, and then go to it. You know, there's an element to this game that you see. I found that with Fallout and Elder Scrolls, there's been a lot of complaints about the fast travel mechanic in those games because it removes exploration. But I think they're fucking handy out. But in order to get those fast travel moments, you have to explore. You have to be on your feet. You have to find new landmarks.
Yeah, you have to find it first. Yeah, correct.
This is the opposite to that. This is just a bunch of menu systems and select on thing and go there. And I'm finding although this is supposed to be exploration on a grand scale, there's no exploration really being had here. You kind of have to force the exploration.
I feel like so far, and like really early into it, so like these are really early impressions for me, but I feel like I'm playing like a checklist, and I'm just like ticking boxes. I still don't, and I think maybe that's what I mean by that. I'm kind of overwhelmed and daunted by, like, there's just lots of stuff. And I don't feel like I have found my groove in the game yet at all.
Yeah.
And maybe this is a game where it takes like 15 to 20 hours before you're like,
I think
Starfield.
It is.
I know exactly where I'm going, I know exactly what I'm doing, and and it possibly is. It's just so fucking big. But then I wonder, do they let you out into the open too soon? And I was glad because I hated the tutorial, but maybe they just needed a much better tutorial, but maybe they need to ease you into some of these systems a bit better, because it's a little bit like on you go, and I'm like, it is, apart from the main quest, I don't know what to do, and I don't want to do the main quest. I was so glad I stole that cup.
Yeah, and I think that's down to the UI too, right? Because it took me a bit to try and figure out, like, activating an activity or a mission or whatever, you can actually choose which one to select as your main and what you want to do from there on. I just think the UI in the menu system at least does need an overhaul to make that much easier to select a current mission. I also find the things that pop up in the top left corner of the screen, and you can hold down the menu button to make that a priority or whatever. I find that doesn't stay long enough.
Yeah,
because there's something happening on the screen, and I don't. Sometimes that happens, and I completely miss it. I either have to pay attention here or pay attention over there, and I miss out on something. And sometimes it's like it's gone that I don't even know what the hell that was. So I wouldn't even know to go into my menu system to even check what it was and where it would be.
Yeah.
So there almost needs to be a notification center in the game.
Check
out where's your latest notifications. Maybe that's the watch. Maybe there should be a button to bring up your wrist and see your watch to see what was that thing that just appeared up in the top left hand corner, and then activate it.
Yeah, I'm finding as well. I'm not like really invested in like the lore of the game.
Yeah, I'm not yet.
Yeah, and maybe that's something that will come later. But I don't know. I feel like it's missing an element of like, because it's humans in space, and maybe I'd be more interested if there was alien races.
Yeah, I thought that was surprising that you couldn't choose another species like a humanoid alien.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem there are any, is there? Like,
no, I don't.
I haven't come across any, and I kind of thought there was going to be, because I would have thought like, you think of things like Star Trek and stuff as well, like where, humans and alien races are interacting with each other now and sharing resources and traveling across space, and in some cases there's conflict there, and I'm just like really surprised that it's just humans have like multiplied to a serious extent across the stars. I'm really surprised at that, and I think that because then it's our history, right? But we've gone forward in time, obviously. So now it's just like the history of, well, when did humans start to colonize? And I'm like, I'm not really that interested in that. Like, I don't want to really read years of when humans went to Mars and colonized it. Because it doesn't really matter. Whereas if we came across an alien species and it's like, oh, here's the lore on like their biology and their religious beliefs and the world that they come from and the differences between them and humans, I think I'd be more into that.
I think it would definitely add more to it, but I am like, because it does allow for an opportunity of critique of our current state if you just focus on humans. So there's elements of just thinking about its influences. There's a couple of moments here that's like Total Recall, like it has that kind of era of sci-fi influences, and it does allow for that opportunity. I don't know, have you gone down to the well on New Atlantis?
I don't know. I haven't.
That was a moment for me where I was like, oh, okay, this is fucking cool.
Okay,
because
I need to go there.
It was like, I'm not when I got to New Atlantis, I was like, this is Mass Effect.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, this is Mass
very
Effect.
much so. It's very much
impressed by it at all. I think to have that as your hub world, or at least the main area that you're introduced to, it's really underwhelming. There's, if anyone saw clips of that, they would think that this game graphically is horrendous, because I think New Atlantis is horrendous looking graphically.
Right.
Like the trees and the plants, they don't light well. There's not much depth to them. The animation's not great on them. But if you show them like interior of your spaceship,
it looks amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So the well is just below New Atlantis, and there was a mission I had to do where I had to go and basically fix. There was like power being lost somewhere, so I had to go to all these circuit boards and switch the power on. And when you go down the elevator, so just below, it's basically the slums of New Atlantis.
Okay,
but it felt like that moment in like Demolition Man.
All right, yeah.
And the graphics there are good. There's good there's good depth because of the amount of smoke or steam that's going around, and you can see how people live below the city. So
Cool.
I liked that element to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's going to be more moments like that. So there's a couple of moments where I'm just like, that's clearly Alien, or this is clearly, Total Recall, or that's like, there's so many influences. I've been to Mars as well, and I'm like, this is Total Recall,
Yeah. No, the influences are very clear, and like aesthetically, I think it looks pretty cool. But you're right, like the inside of the ship looks amazing.
Yeah, I think most of my 10 hours is spent actually just going around looking at all the detail.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, the game wants you to do that, right? Like, it's an exploration game, essentially. So,
yeah, there's little
it's asking
logs
for you
to
to go
pick up.
find things. And
I like going around and seeing all the different, like, some places you go in, they actually have board games. And you can see I don't know if you can interact with them or anything like that, but I just enjoy looking at, like, what's the name of the board game, and because there's always going to be something in there that's like a nod to something or something satirical. I enjoy that.
I quite like the posters and stuff that you see around the place. I think they look great. I think like that's really cool.
Yeah, in the well, there's a lot of graffiti where it shows like a military person, and there's like a person on their knees, and they're after blowing their head off, but the head exploding says, is it United Colonies? UCA?
Oh yeah,
is that what it's called? I can't remember.
Something like that.
But anyway, it has that written on it. Like, so obviously in the well, there's something, like, in terms of maybe there'll be a rebellion, or I don't know. But like,
that sounds cool.
Yeah,
I need to go down to the well then. I want to check that out. That sounds really cool.
It's basically when the bit in New Atlantis where you kind of go under what looks like maybe a bridge to get to the tram.
Yeah,
I think if you take either a left or a right there'll be an elevator that will take you down below.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's been like the most fun like quest thing you've had to do so far? What was like your favorite like quest moment?
I think I think it could have been part of, I don't know if it was the main quest or there was maybe it's a side quest. I kind of forget because I kind of hop between the two. But it was that space station thingy off of the moon, our moon.
Right. I gotta go do that.
I really enjoyed that one just because of the lore surrounding it. So supposedly Earth is it's a wasteland essentially. So people have left it, and people don't travel around Earth and the moon anymore because it's become an area of like for scavengers and pirates and things like that. So that's a kind of a no-go area. So we came across this kind of a floating space station. And I can't even remember what I was there to get, but when you have to dock yourself to it, so as you fly up to it, there's like a docking button, and then there's like that animation, and that kind of reminded me of Interstellar.
I enjoyed that.
Like I thought that was cool. And then when you get on, you see like everyone is dead and stuff, and you're like, oh my god, what the hell's going on here? So like I'm exploring that, and there's people to take out. There's a bit of combat involved in there too, but there was this slight kind of not horror aspect, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of like going down the hallway in Shadow Moses. You're wondering what the hell's after happening here. But there was a good bit of exploration involved there. Just finding equipment and got to use the what's it called, the digi key? I don't know. It's a thing for unlocking and stuff like that. So I liked that. I liked that because of what they set up. I think, letting you know that this is a no-go area. You don't want to go here, right? So it kind of makes you have some level of anticipation of what you're going to come up against. And then just the visuals, it kind of looked a bit like Alien.
Cool.
I like that bit.
I'm kind of hoping that and I feel like there will be, because like with Bethesda and the quests that they do, they often like to like homage different genres with their quests. Like even like like obviously Skyrim is overall a fantasy game, but like you do some of the Thieves Guild missions and suddenly it feels like you're in a heist movie or something, or sometimes they're just homaging different genres and things in their quests.
Yeah,
I feel like at some point there's got to be some sort of cosmic horror or something in Starfield. Like there's got to be,
must be, yeah,
has to be somewhere.
I think there is, because
got to be a quest.
at least in the main mission, I don't know if have you come across it then, where you're kind of, it is quite early on actually. You've gone to this place and it seems as though there was an experimental alien that's after breaking loose.
Oh, cool. No,
I think they call it the Terraform or something like that.
Okay. As I've said, I haven't done any of the main quests.
But I haven't come across it yet, so I think down the road that will be that could be an encounter at some point.
Yeah, cool. I hope so. I do hope that they go there, because I think if you're going to do everything, if you're going to do like the space scoundrels and pirates and military and all that, at some point you also got to touch on like space horror.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be in there somewhere, and I'm excited to see what that is. What I'm really enjoying so far is like the quest that I'm on. There's a genuine feeling of like paranoia, because so in the quest I am undercover.
Okay.
And I'm infiltrating an organization. But I have to be very careful about not letting the organization know that I'm infiltrating them, or that I'm not who I say I am. Okay. Right? So I'm really enjoying
that. Is that heavy on the persuasion mechanic then?
Yes.
Cool.
Very much so. Nearly every point there's moments where you can be persuading people. But then it got to a point where I was alone with another dude who's like one of the dudes in the organization. And he's like, hey, like, why don't we kill the leader and me and you can leave this place? And I don't know if they're testing whether I'm really loyal, or whether I'm like a rat or something. And I was like, I don't think we should do that, dude. And he's like, I mean, that guy's a scumbag anyway. We could run this place better. And I'm like, I don't know what to do here.
Rat him out.
Well, that's what I'm thinking of doing. I haven't got back to the leader yet.
Okay.
And well, I was even like, I wonder, once this guy turns his back, can I just fucking kill him, take his stuff, and go? I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying this quest, because there is just, it feels like, obviously in the grand scale of the story, it's probably lower stakes, but every choice feels like it's high stakes, because I'm like, and I also don't know if I like. There's a feeling I have that I'm like, I think they know that I'm a spy.
Mm.
And I think they're using me as well. I think they're... And even when I went back to who I'm supposed to report to, and like, because there's... Someone mentioned something about they might have spies in said place, like in the place that I'm reporting to. So when I was reporting, I lied about what I was reporting. Because I was like, I need to get the mission done, but I don't think anyone needs to know what I'm actually doing until the mission's done, because I don't trust anyone. I got to a total moment of paranoia, because like in a big room in front of everyone, I was like, if I was 1-on-1 with you, I'd tell you what happened, but I don't fucking... There's someone in here
so many years
is a mole or something, and I don't... So it's like The Departed, basically, and I'm like the undercover cop who doesn't know who to trust.
It's
that's a fucking cool quest.
I think it's moments like that makes Bethesda games in particular very, very special.
Yeah.
But it's the surface level stuff that I think can get really, really annoying and turn people off.
For sure.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like even in the lead up to this game, there was a lot of pressure on it, right? There was
for
like
sure.
This,
yeah.
A lot of pressure on this game. I think it was always, no matter what kind of state it was released in, this game was always going to have mixed reviews. Because of that pressure as well. Because some people were expecting the game of the generation. You know what I mean? And that's like... And this is a hugely... what's the word I'm looking for? Like... ambitious. Mm-hmm. It's a hugely ambitious game from Bethesda.
Yeah.
But it's impossible, I think, to live up to some people's expectations.
Yeah, I think it's probably because like there's elements of this game I think that have been done before, not to the same extent, but it's like in concept have been done before. You can't help but draw kind of comparisons to maybe No Man's Sky, but of course that started off really rough.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised to see so many people online really praise that game in comparison to Starfield. It's like, do you not remember when that launched? Like, but
yes, yeah, you have to remember the beginning as well. Yeah,
realistically, that is a better space exploration game if you want space exploration,
right.
And then you've got Cyberpunk again, rough start, but if you want that shooter RPG, you know, I don't know how well or how different that plays out, but it is there as an option. Mass Effect, again, that's a decision-based RPG in space.
But that is the space RPG.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of competition in that area. Yeah. And I don't think, at least when I played it, I don't know if others maybe feel the same, or maybe it's because I've been a little out of the loop with the conversation around Starfield.
Yeah.
I felt that it is not quite like how they advertised. Or at least that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, possibly. What I'm finding with the game now, and I like the game, I don't love the game. And I feel like Starfield is going to be one of those games that I jump in and out of.
Yes, yeah, I'll be the same.
Right? In between.
You have nothing to do, throw in Starfield. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't mean that as a huge negative or anything like that, like, but I do feel like it's the game I'm going to jump in and out of in between the games I love, where I'm hooked and I need to keep playing it and I need to finish the story and I need to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then, I've nothing to play. Let me go fuck around in Starfield and see what else I discover. You know what I mean? And maybe that's where that game belongs, but that's also kind of slightly underwhelming in a way. I think the game is both overwhelming and underwhelming at the same time. And so
there's elements in here too that I think are just a little old-fashioned.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I'm actually really surprised by the amount of loading involved in this game.
There's a lot. I'm surprised at the quality of performances from characters.
Well, for a Bethesda game, I think they're incredible.
Well, like I said, I love the adoring fan and that, but it's even the way it's like you'd be talking to a guy, and obviously it's close up and they're talking away to you, or whatever, but then there's these random interjections from whoever your ally is.
Yeah, it's cutting across.
And I think that's so fucking jarring. Like, it's so weird. No, but as well, like, it actually, like, the camera will then just go to
I see what you mean.
Their face.
Yeah.
As if the conversation is between the two of them and you're just sort of in the, like, dude,
there's no you. Yeah.
Like, you're not really there. And I know, obviously, you're only picking dialogue and all, but I don't know, I wish the ally would nearly go away at that point.
Yeah, there's oddly enough, there's like they seem to put a lot of emphasis or not emphasis, but like polish in some of the mechanics that you may not touch on often.
Yeah,
and then it's like something like that where dialogue happens. I would say as far as a mechanic goes, dialogue is probably the most common mechanic you're going to encounter.
Yeah,
it just feels so dated. They haven't really updated that since Oblivion. Really?
Yeah.
Like, the animation's improved, but the zoom up to the face with the blur background, that's been there a while.
It surely has.
It's odd that they haven't restructured how we can frame conversations in a more engaging manner.
Yeah, and it's a strange one, because like I said, I'm enjoying the game, but I'm finding that there's a reality where it's a shame that Bethesda making a brand new IP and going on about their first new IP in 25 years or whatever, that it's not much different. I kind of wish they took way bigger swings and like, this doesn't play anything like the other Bethesda games. Because why do the same thing again but only change the setting? Yeah. A part of me kind of wishes, like, would it be such a bad thing if a Bethesda RPG wasn't you make your own character and actually you play as a character who is voice acted and goes through this narrative experience of exploring space?
I wouldn't want that just because I think that kind of game exists already. I think there is something special in how Bethesda's do RPGs, and that's what you're buying into. It's like a Bethesda RPG. But
yeah, it's its own genre nearly, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
like you know what to expect. But as far as like the older mechanic side of things or how it feels like an old game, it's like
Yeah.
you know, we're playing it on a Series X. It's supposed to be like a really incredible console, and I don't feel like it. This wouldn't be the game I'd show someone if I was like, check out this, because I think that was one thing, like, because I haven't touched my Xbox in a long time,
right?
And what I've noticed is like, fuck me, this thing is fast. Like, just turning it on and getting into the game,
So it's way quicker to get into a game on Xbox.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I was like, this is something that I'm going to miss if I go back over to PlayStation. No, it's like just how fast I can get into this game and go over to something else and then come back into it. It's like, that's incredible. I wish that was in the game though. Like, opening a door shouldn't have a loading. Like, I just
I
just
100% agree.
Open the door. I don't understand why.
Because I do find, like, because with some other games, like I can sit there and go, all right, I have half an hour to kill. I can actually jump into a game on Xbox for half an hour and jump straight out.
Yeah.
I would not do that on the PlayStation. I have half an hour. There's no fucking point. By the time I get it all booted up and get into it, it's like I haven't really got the time.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be thrown on Starfield if I've only got half an hour. It would definitely be something else, because there is way too much loading and it takes too long to kind of get around to doing the things you want to do. Like, you want a good chunk of time to actually get lost in that game.
Yeah, and it's not that the loading takes a while either. Like, it is fast loading.
Yeah.
But it's just so frequent, and it's in areas where it's like, I don't fully understand why. Like, I'm looking at, like, obviously there's more to it, and in a Bethesda game, I don't really know what's going on and how much they have loaded up already. But as far as a player is concerned, what I'm seeing or engaging with, if you have something that's loaded up over there, I don't know that. So why load it?
Yeah.
You know,
True.
just load up what I'm going to interact with at least. It's just thinking of games like Horizon, you know, like there's a lot happening in that too. Like, there's a fuck ton happening in that. Obviously there's not as much quests or things like that, but I just feel like maybe
there's an awful lot of detail in it though as well.
Yeah, I just feel like maybe the way they've implemented the loading and the SSD, and considering they only have those systems, I know they're on PC as well, but when you're talking strictly console, so that leads me to wonder, is the Series S holding this back?
Possibly, and I don't know. And not just the Series S, like, is the Xbox One holding this back?
Well, it's not on Xbox One.
Is it not? I thought it was on both.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just the Series S, Series X, and PC.
And PC, right. Well, the weakest link there is the Series S, right?
Yeah.
So then is that why they built that new Series S? Like, not because then this game will suddenly change, right? This game is made. But is it because going forward, they're like, okay, that the current Series S...
Well, that Series S, there's no difference other than the storage.
Was that all it is?
That's all this is, yeah. And I think,
you know,
some devs have talked about how, like, that is a bit of the weakest link, and they have to make games for it. It's not like, you know, it's not as if they can kind of go, this is Series X only. They have to make games for this, and it's just like that. I haven't seen a game really outside of racing on the Xbox where I'm like, this is impressive, showcasing the hardware. Because even Halo, like, as far as flagship titles go, I feel like that S is really holding back what they could do with Xbox. I would ditch the thing, honestly, if I was them.
What is the flagship title of the Series X?
I think it's Forza. I don't know what else.
Yeah,
really. I think it's Forza.
I think the fact that there's going to be various different answers to that, but not in a good way. Like, because I think, like, if you go, right, well, what's the flagship of the PS5? And people start naming, like, a couple of games. Like, I know they're on PS4 too, like, same with, like, Xbox and Xbox One, but, like, if people start saying, oh, God of War Ragnarok, it's got to be that, or someone else goes, no, it's Horizon Forbidden West, or no, it's fucking Final Fantasy 16, or, like, there's going to be a few different answers to it.
Spider-Man 2.
They're all quite exciting, and it probably will be Spider-Man 2, right? That one's going to be fucking killer. But with Xbox, when you're saying Forza, just like I've no characters in my head. There's someone else might say, no, Hi-Fi Rush is where it's at, man. That is the Xbox Series X game that you gotta play. I just don't know if they have achieved that, and I think a lot of people want Starfield to be that, and I don't think it's necessarily the flagship.
Well, I think Xbox wanted Starfield to be that, and that's kind of that added to the pressure of what this game
of course
ended up being, and I'm not really.
That's unfair, anyway.
I didn't really like that marketing that they had, though. That whole like our first IP in 25 years and all. Like they really pushed that. It's like honestly, that doesn't sound. I wouldn't be bragging about that at all. Actually, I wouldn't be using that as a selling point.
No,
because there's been so many studios out there like pumping out new IPs. That just makes it sound like you haven't had an original idea in 25 years.
Right.
I don't think it sounds good.
There's three things I'm most interested in with Starfield going forward.
Yeah.
And
Updates.
then we'll bring Starfield conversation to a close for now. We'll probably be touching on it again in the future when we play more of it. But one is getting further into the game, and I want to explore it more and get around to seeing as much as I could see, do more quests, all the surprises, the things you're not expecting, the things I never told you about. That's the first thing. Second is I can't wait to see what happens in the modders' hands.
Oh, have you seen them yet?
No, I've seen nothing yet.
I've seen a couple of mods, and they're fucking cool. They're cool.
Yeah,
I hope it comes. I hope it comes to Xbox.
I'm sure it will. That's what I'm thinking about. What's Starfield like in 2 years' time?
Mm-hmm.
That's very different to what's Starfield like now.
Yes,
that's a different conversation.
I think as far as launches go, this is probably the most polished game from Bethesda.
Yeah,
from a launch, and I'm not talking about I'm not talking about id Software or anything like that. I'm talking about Bethesda Studios. This is the most polished one so far.
Yeah, people always think about the game like years later. They always forget what state their game is launching. Like I haven't experienced like crazy bugs or crashes yet.
Oh, I haven't at all. My only annoyance is
it's very polished.
Yeah, my annoyances are I think as well, like my annoyance with the loading. I think that's probably going to improve. Yeah, I think it will get faster as it goes on with updates.
And then the third thing I'm interested in is the conversation around like the Game Awards. I'm going to be really interested in, because this game has been kind of divisive in opinion and things. And also like I was listening to like some of the reviewers and it's really fascinating. They were like, this game's really hard to review. Like it's hard to give it a review score because like what's your man's name? Paris Lilly from Kind of Funny, right? When he was reviewing it, he was like, I would not play this game the way I reviewed it. You see, because when I was reviewing it, I was just doing as much as I can and testing shit out. But that's not fun. He said it wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy reviewing it. Mm-hmm. Then when I went to play it for myself, I had the best time ever. Because I just fucked around and did whatever I want. It's like, but you can't do that as a review. You have to actually like see, you know what I mean? So, and there's a few other people that when they were trying to review it, they were like, I don't know what score to put on this game. Because your experience will vastly differ from my experience. So how do you give like an overall, you know what I mean? Like if you play God of War Ragnarok, it's pretty easy to review that. It's like,
yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's a solid experience the whole way through, and you'll probably really enjoy it. Like, it's well done. But this is quite a difficult game to do that with, and so it's going to be really interesting when it gets to like Game of the Year conversations. Like, will it even qualify? Where will it qualify? Like in the RPG category, that's easy. Like, of course, it could be nominated for best RPG of the year because it's a huge, vast RPG.
Yeah.
But in any other category, I don't know, because it's going to really your mileage will vary.
Yeah, in that aspect, it's like that's one area where this game feels really old school.
Yeah,
it's a positive. Because there's not many games to this scale where you can just kind of throw on and arse around in.
Yeah, just do your own thing.
Everything is very. It's like a tailored experience. It's like, it's like you go into a restaurant, but you don't get to choose the menu. It's like, here you go. This is the experience we're going to bring you on, and that can be a great experience. But we've been having that for such a long time now that, like, with
now
that,
you're in a buffet. And
that
you're like,
reviewer,
I don't know what to go for.
that reviewer, then it's like, what'll be interesting is, would he have had a blast with the game if he didn't already know all the shit you could do in it because of the review he did? It's almost like it opened them up to like extra possibilities, because I do think partially the issue with Starfield is, like you said, that onboarding experience.
Yeah.
But I've seen most of the positives I've seen is that you kind of need to really get into it, and you will find that moment where you're like, fuck yeah, Starfield's for me. That's mostly what I've seen. Yeah. There's definitely a hurdle you have to get through. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but somewhere in there is a beautiful game.
For sure. And you kind of have to know that going in, you are in for a hurdle, right? It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be an instantaneous, I love this game. Because there is a lot you got to adjust to, and there's a lot you got to find.
Which is why I think Game Pass is the way to go with this game. I probably wouldn't recommend someone dropping full price for it.
No.
Unless just that you've seen the opening, you're all in. I'm like, well, yeah, I think you'll fucking have a blast with it then. You'll love it.
Yeah. It gets better. That's the thing. If you like the beginning, it only gets better.
Yeah.
Because so far from what I've played, the beginning is easily the worst part of the game.
Yep.
I didn't like any of it. I didn't like starting as a miner. I just didn't enjoy any of that. But I like the character creator for sure. I thought that was good.
I think another interesting thing to come from it is, with Fallout, I could never really get into Fallout 3, and therefore I didn't get Fallout 4. However, I am interested in that world, and I can totally see the fact that there's many sequels to Fallout. I think that's such an interesting world to explore. Same with Elder Scrolls. I think that's really interesting.
I think I had the same thought where you're going with this.
Yeah, so with Starfield, I mean, would I want to see a Starfield 2? Maybe like after about hour 60, I'll be able to answer that. But at the moment,
can't answer it now.
there's not a whole lot here like where this is like a unique setting with a lot of depth, because that's the issue I think with space exploration, not just in gaming but movies as well, right? If you think of Tatooine in Star Wars, there's only a handful of locations in Tatooine apparently. It's like, it's not a giant planet full of stuff, whereas when you take something like Fallout, you're really only in one state. We don't know what the rest of the world looks like. There's so much exploration for that world, and it's the same with Elder Scrolls. We get to go to different provinces.
Yeah.
Whereas with Starfield, it's like a planet is actually just like a building, kind of.
Sure, like it's a location.
Yeah.
So you have a series of locations scattered that you got to get around to, that you can't walk to.
So a Starfield 2 might just have the same planets, but it's actually a different landing zone. But I just don't know how interesting that is. Like, is the planet, and generally as well with sci-fis, is that, well, this planet is a desert planet, so that's the only climate it has all the time.
Yeah. I feel like and I agree with you. The thought on that might be totally different. Hour 60 in, right? Yeah. Like we're still really totally scratching the surface of this game. But so far I feel like the way to expand on this universe is to never make a sequel and to only do expansions and DLC. That Starfield is this game that kind of continues in that way. And there's teams that work on Starfield, and that's how Starfield grows. I think it would be smart for Microsoft as well. That's like through Game Pass, you will continue to play Starfield for years. Almost like an MMO, but it's not
like
an MMO,
the way Destiny was done.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't, and again, this could change. I don't see a Starfield 2. Because you can do what you're saying, add the new locations, add new loading zones, all that. That can keep coming. For people who bought the game, maybe it comes in the form of paid expansions. you're still making money on the game. You're constantly growing the game, but would you ever really need to release a Starfield 2? Whenever you want to do a new character, just go make a new character. They could add in the mods later on. They could add in a deeper character customization later on. You
Mm-hmm.
know, all those things can be added. Um, it's just different to like what you're saying with Fallout and the Elder Scrolls, where it's like, no, this is a whole new region, different era, whole new lore, whole new story. You know what I mean? I just can't see. But again, maybe hour 60, it'll be like, no, we need a Starfield 2.
Yeah.
We fucking
Yeah.
need it, and I could see exactly how they could do it. But yeah, so far not so much. Anything else on Starfield before we just touch on the other things before we finish up?
Only that, like, I think this will be a game that I see myself just jumping in and out of every now and then. I'm not in a rush to get into it. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's actually quite nice to have this game that I can just return to and just keep poking at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm really interested to see what's going to come with updates and improvements, if there are going to be any. And I really hope the mod scene comes over. Because I've seen someone on PC, they've modded their ship to look like the one that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon arrive on.
All right.
Yeah. So
Totally.
from that, like that kind of shit, that would be fucking cool. I'd love to see, like, give me Space Marine armor in there, like,
Yeah.
make it happen.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I'm happy enough to have this to be the game to jump in and out of, to every so often just see what I find, go explore, and like that every couple of weeks or so that it's the game is like, oh, what have you done in Starfield this week? Or like what's the last thing you did in Starfield? And that's the conversation about it. It's like, oh, did you know I'm after finding this fucking thing, and it leads into this, and that's the exciting part of it, I think. So going forward, I feel like that's what Starfield's going to be, and I'm in no rush to like race to get the story out so that it doesn't get spoiled on me by the internet, so that I can be ahead of that conversation. Absolutely, I feel no pressure that way with this game.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes I do feel that pressure,
Yeah.
like when Spider-Man 2 comes out, I'm going to want to like fucking every spare hour I have just play Spider-Man 2 so that nobody ruins it on me.
Yeah.
Because that's such a narrative. It's going to be such a narrative-driven game. Whereas I feel no.
I actually find
pressure
that to be quite a negative experience too.
It can be for sure.
Yeah. But it's nice to have something to just. There it is, all reliable.
Yeah,
That's what I call my ship.
That's a really good name for the ship, all reliable. I was going to call it the Shera, but that's only because I'm playing as Sid. But yeah, let us know, guys, how you find Starfield so far. What is your character? What cool experiences have you found? And if you got any cool little tips or things that you think we should check out, maybe without giving away exactly what happens, but like if it is like, for example, if you haven't done it yet, I'm going to tell people, steal something. Go to New Atlantis and steal something. That's what I'm going to tell you to do. But if you have something that you want to tell us that'll kick something off, tell us. Maybe it's like, go smuggle contraband. Do yourself a favor or something like that. Tell us what we should do. Just before I finish up, on the topic of Stars, Sea of Stars is out. I've been playing it on Game Pass. A couple of weeks ago, we did an episode where we're telling people to keep an eye on certain games, and this is one that I was telling people to keep an eye out on because of the demo, and I've been playing it since it launched. Adam, you jumped into it. Any interest or?
No, not really. I just find I like the idea of it. It's especially coming off the bat of Final Fantasy. It's the kind of RPG I kind of wanted.
Yeah.
But I just found the opening. I just didn't like the opening. So it kind of turned me away from a bit.
Yeah. No, it's definitely it doesn't get off to like the most exciting start ever. I think it helped me that I had played the demo, that I kind of knew what was to come. So I really wanted to get to the point that I'd gotten to in the demo because that's where I wanted to keep playing.
And how far would that be?
It's maybe like 2 hours into the game.
Okay.
So with that in mind, like I was also like, this isn't like the best way to start this game based on what I've played from the demo. So then I kept going, and I'm hooked. I love this game. It's funny, it's really charming, really whimsical, and it's just pure adventure. Every time I jump into it, I just feel like I'm off on an adventure in a storybook. It's not it's not like a incredibly deep story. There's nothing that surprising about the story. It's fairly run of the mill. But I just think there's such cool little bits of lore. There's one really interesting thing, and it's like a little side story where there's this huge dragon that's sleeping wrapped around this mountain, and there's holes in the mountain, right? That these mole people have like mined and created, and it creates like these wind channels, right, going through. So the mountain operates as a giant musical instrument that by keeping the wind going through, it's creating like this lullaby or this hymn that keeps the dragon asleep. And there's like a quest where they're really worried about the mountain, like there's something else going on. And they're like, if this fucking doesn't keep going, that thing will wake up and we're all fucked. And that's only a little side thing. And I was like, there's just little cool bits of lore like that, or like there's mentions of the ancient Fleshmancer, and I was like, what is that? I want to know what that is. That sounds cool. So I'm really enjoying the game. It's one of the best games I've played this year, but it's not going to be for everyone. Okay. I don't expect to see it in Game of the Year category. I think the competition's too high anyway. I do expect to see it in Best Indie, because they are an indie studio. I expect to see it there. If it's not there, I'll riot. I'll be mad. I love this game. So go check it out, guys. It's available on Game Pass and PS Plus, depending whichever one you have. If you want to jump into it and give it a go. And then speaking of RPGs and Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis has launched on mobile. I've very barely scratched the surface on
I only did the Scorpion Guard. That's it.
Right, same. So the music's cool.
Yeah.
I found that the Reactor music was even better than the one in the remake.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I was like,
yep. It looks great. Like
the art is amazing.
Yep.
I was like, this is ridiculous for a mobile game. Like, this is actually ridiculous. Even the cutscenes are fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we were talking about it briefly ourselves off podcast, but I do wish, you could just pay one price and that's the game. Like, I'd love to just buy it and just play it.
Yeah, I haven't got enough
mobile shit.
Maybe we'll discuss another point after we've touched on it a bit more, because I think if you play that Scorpion Guard sequence, you're kind of like, I actually think it's decent. I think the combat's decent. It kind of gives me it's a bit like Crisis Core a little bit.
Yeah.
The music's great, the artwork's great, the kind of callback to the OG Final Fantasy VII of being able to run around, that's actually fantastic, and I love the chibi art style there.
Yeah, steady.
But post that, I have no idea. I don't know if this starts throwing shit at you where you have to gamble or whatever. So I think we should maybe delve a little bit more into it and see where does it take us.
Absolutely.
I think the menu system in it is horrible. It's just the fucking worst thing. It's like shit everywhere. It's like, what do I even click? It's it's got that Call of Duty mobile look to it, and I fucking hate that shit. But the actual game side of it, so far, great. But we'll
have to see. No, for sure. We'll definitely have to revisit that. So let us know if you have been playing it yourselves, and like how far into it are you, and do you recommend to keep going with it? But we'll definitely go a bit further into it and then readdress it at a later point. But guys, that is all for this week's episode. So to those of you who've been watching this YouTube, make sure you jump down in the comments. Let us know, are you playing Starfield? What quests have you gone on? What adventures have you been doing? What's your character? Tell us all about it. Are you enjoying Starfield? And then if you've jumped into either CSRs or Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, let us know what you're thinking of those two. Are you enjoying them? And if you enjoyed this discussion, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for all future content. Next week we should have Eric back, so all three brothers will be back in the room, and I do believe he will be playing Baldur's Gate 3, so we're definitely going to get his take on that. Because that's the other fucking massive RPG everyone's talking about.
Which will probably win that category.
Yeah, probably. It might win Game of the Year, by the way everyone's talking about it. But it'll be really interesting to see. I can't wait for the Game Awards nominees to be announced this year. I can't wait to see what's what, because this year is just fucking crazy.
Yeah, so I don't think honestly, I'm not invested in anything right now. I'm just looking forward to seeing everyone else lose their fucking minds.
Yeah, like what I'm invested in is like the discussion that's going to come out about it. Yeah. Like I'm interested in
because I'm kind of like, it's like these are all great. Whichever one. Just pick a winner. They're all good.
Yeah. Pick. Throw a dart at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know yourselves as well, guys. What do you? If there were 6 games that are going to make it into Game of the Year category this year, what 6 do you think it's got to be? If you're interested in letting us know, please jump down in the comments. If you guys have been listening to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twixter at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on everything we brought up in this week's episode. Thank you so much for checking us out. We'll be back to talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Just got a message here from Eric.
Oh, yeah?
The customization to Baldur's Gate is crazy.
There you fucking go. That's the first impressions of Baldur's Gate 3.